Every day, millions of people wake up, go to work, earn money, and then hand part of that money to companies they don't own. Apple, Amazon, Tesla, Nike, McDonald's, they buy the products, use the apps, watch the subscriptions, and make other people rich in the process. But a small group of people figured out something life-changing. Instead of just buying from these companies, they started buying pieces of them. That's what stocks actually are. And once you understand this, you stop looking at money the same way forever. Welcome to Evans Invest, because today we're breaking down stocks in the simplest way possible. And by the end of this video, you'll understand what people are really buying when they invest. Most people hear phrases like, buy the dip, the market crashed, Tesla stock exploded, the S&P 500 hit all-time highs. But almost nobody explains what any of this actually means. And honestly, that confusion keeps millions of people from investing entirely, because stocks sound complicated, risky, maybe even fake. But the truth is actually incredibly simple. A stock is just ownership. That's it. Ownership in a real business. Not magic internet money, not gambling, not random numbers on a screen, actual businesses. What a stock really is. Imagine your favorite company is a giant pizza. Now imagine slicing that pizza into millions of tiny pieces. Each slice represents a share, a stock. And when you buy one, you own a tiny piece of that business. That means if the company grows, your tiny slice becomes more valuable too. Now obviously, buying one share of a giant company doesn't suddenly make you a billionaire. But psychologically, this changes everything. Because now you stop thinking like only a customer and start thinking like an owner. That mindset shift alone separates many wealthy people from everyone else. And here's where things get interesting. Because companies don't sell ownership out of generosity. They do it because they want something extremely valuable. Your money. Why companies sell stocks? Building a business is expensive, really expensive. Factories, employees, technology, expansion, marketing, all of it costs money. Now companies could borrow money from banks, but loans come with interest, pressure, repayments. So instead, many companies do something smarter. They sell ownership. Imagine a woman named Maya wants to open a sneaker store called Fresh Kicks. She needs $100,000 to launch it, but only has $50,000 herself. So instead of taking out a giant loan, she divides the business into 10 pieces. 10 shares. She keeps 5 and sells the other 5 to investors. Now she has the money she needs, and the investors own part of the business. Simple. That's basically how stocks work, just massively scaled up. How investors make money. Now this is the part people actually care about. How does owning a tiny piece of a company make you money? 2 main ways. First, the company becomes more valuable over time. Let's say Fresh Kicks explodes in popularity. More stores, more customers, more profits. Suddenly the company is worth $300,000 instead of $100,000. That means anyone who owned shares now owns more valuable shares. That's how long-term investing creates wealth. But here's the scary part. It also works in reverse. If the company struggles, the shares can lose value too. That's why investing always involves risk. And honestly, that emotional roller coaster is why many people panic and quit too early. The part most beginners never understand. Now here's something beginners completely overlook. Stocks are not just numbers moving on screens. Behind every stock are employees, products, customers, profits, mistakes, leadership decisions, competition, real businesses. That's why wealthy investors obsess over understanding businesses, not just stock prices. because in the long run, business performance drives stock performance. Dividends. Make this simple emotional. Some companies do something even cooler. They literally share profits with shareholders. These payments are called dividends. Think about how crazy that is for a second. You can sit at home doing absolutely nothing, while companies send you money simply because you own part of them. That's one of the biggest mindset shifts in investing. Your money starts working for you, not the other way around, where people buy stocks. Now you might imagine investors screaming on Wall Street floors, throwing papers around like movies from the 1980s. And yes, that still exists a little. But today, most investing happens directly from phones, apps, brokerage accounts, a few taps, done. And the two biggest stock exchanges in America are the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. Think of them like giant digital marketplaces where ownership in companies gets bought and sold every day. The biggest beginner mistake. Now this is where things get dangerous, because once people discover investing, many immediately start chasing hype. Meme stocks, hot tips, guaranteed winners. But real investing usually looks far more boring than social media makes it seem. The people quietly building long-term wealth are often consistent, patient, diversified, emotionally calm, not panic buying random stocks at 2 a.m. because someone on TikTok said it's going to the moon. Common vs preferred stock, shortened for retention. Now technically there are different kinds of stocks, but honestly, most beginners only need to understand one thing. Common stock equals higher growth potential, more risk. Preferred stock equals steadier income, lower upside. That's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Most everyday investors focus mainly on common stock because they want long-term growth. Why stocks matter so much? This completely changed how I think about money. Because for most people, income only comes from labor. You work, you get paid, you stop working, the money stops, but investing changes the equation. Now your money itself becomes productive. And over decades, that compounding effect becomes enormous. That's how ordinary people slowly become wealthy. Not overnight, not through hype, through ownership. So the next time you hear someone say, "I bought Apple stock," understand what they actually mean. They bought ownership in a real business. A business with products, customers, profits, employees, and global influence. That's what investing really is. Not gambling, ownership. And honestly, that simple mindset shift is what separates consumers from investors. One group spends money with companies forever. The other group owns the companies collecting the money. Huge difference. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Evans Invest for more beginner-friendly breakdowns on investing, money psychology, wealth building, and how the financial system actually works. Because once you understand money, you stop feeling intimidated by it. And remember, the wealthy don't just buy products, they buy ownership.